Explanation of Chapter 1 Snapshots titled The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse by William Saroyan. About the author, William Saroyan was an Armenian American novelist, playwright, and short story writer. He was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1940 and 43 and won the Academy Award for the Best Story for the film adaptation of his novel, The Human Comedy. Saroyan wrote extensively about the Armenian immigration also. So let's start with the explanation. This lesson has been told from Aram's point of view and is being told in a flashback. One day, 9-year-old Aram was asleep and was in a world of extremely beautiful imagination. His life was pleasant and kind of in a mysterious dream. His cousin Morad showed up on the window of his room at 4 a.m. in the morning. He called Aram, who jumped out of his bed and still couldn't believe that he saw out of the window. It was dawn and there was light enough outside to make him see that was quite unbelievable, and he thought that as if he was dreaming. Aram and Murad are two Armenian boys and they both are cousins. Aram is 9 years old and Murad is 13 years old. Aram saw that Murad was sitting on a white horse. Aram rubbed his eyes and stuck out his head out of the window. Murad assured him it was not a dream. He asked if he wanted a ride and he must make it quick. Murad was the type of a person who enjoyed being alive, but he couldn't believe that he was seeing a horse in front of him. Aram's earliest memory was of horses and he always wanted to ride one. And this was the wonderful part, that he was actually going to ride a horse for real. Aram's family was poor and had no money, so it was difficult for him to believe in what he saw outside his house. He belonged to the Garaglanian family that was strictly and funnily in poverty. They didn't even know how they managed to get food for themselves every day. Although his tribe was poor, they were known for their honesty for 11 centuries. They were honest, proud, and always believed in right and wrong. No one from their family would ever steal anything or would take advantage of anyone in the world. Aram was so excited that he was seeing a horse that was so pleasant and beautiful. He could smell it and hear it breathing and still couldn't believe that Morad or anyone in the family could afford a horse. He was thinking if Morad had stolen the horse, but he didn't believe it as he thought no one in his family could be a thief. He stared at his cousin and then at the horse. There was religious motionless and wittiness in both Morad and the horse, as one charmed him and the other scared him. Aram asked Morad if he had stolen the horse, and Morad replied, if he wants a ride, he must jump out of the window. Aram was convinced that the horse was stolen by Morad. He came to visit him to ask him to ride it with him. Aram tried to convince himself that it was not the same as stealing money, as they both were so crazy about riding a horse. He thought that it would not be called stealing until they decide to steal it, which they would never do. Aram said he will wear some clothes and come outside. He jumped down to his yard from his room's window and sat on the horse behind his cousin. Aram lived at the edge of the town on Walnut Avenue. There were orchards, vineyards, irrigation ditches, and country roads behind his house. They were on Olive Avenue within 3 minutes, and the horse started to proceed. The air felt new and lovely to breathe. Aram felt wonderful sitting on the horse which was running. Morad started singing loudly, who was considered one of the craziest member of the family. There is one crazy person in every family, and Morad was the one natural descendant of a crazy race in their tribe. Before Morad was Uncle Khusro. Uncle Khusro was the one huge man with black hair and largest moustache in the valley. He had an energetic temper and was impatient, which was irritating. He used to make anyone stop talking by roaring and say, it is no harm, pay no attention to it. Uncle Khusro was always this rigid no matter what happened or no matter who was talking in front of him. Once his own son Arab came running to him when he was getting his mustache trimmed at the barber's shop. He told him that their house was on fire, to which Uncle Khusro roared and said the same dialogue, it is no harm, pay no attention to it. The barber was amused and tried to talk to him about it as usual. Khusro roared again and did not pay attention to it. Morad was also considered to be a natural descendant of this man, but he was not his son. His father was Zorab, who was a practical person. A child could look like his father, but doesn't mean he gets his nature and attitude just the same. There are different kinds of people in their tribes, moody and without any settled work or home. They were still riding the horse, and Morad was still singing loudly. They were still in the countryside where, according to their neighbors, they belonged to. Morad asked Aram to get down as he wanted to ride the horse alone. Aram asked if he could ride the horse alone. For that, Morad said that it was up to the horse if he wants to ride with him and told him to get down again. Aram tried to convince him that the horse would let him ride, to which Morad said that we shall see, and told Aram that he had a way with the horse. Aram got down while telling him that he will ride the horse alone. Morad kicked his heels in the horse and shouted, "Run," to him. The horse stood on its hind legs, breathed out, and ran into a speed. Morad raced the horse across a field of dry grass and irrigation ditches. When they arrived 5 minutes later, they were wet. The sun was almost up, and Aram told Morad that it was his turn to ride. Morad got off, and Aram sat on the horse. He was fearful, and the horse did not move. Morad tried to guide him by saying that he should try to kick into his muscles, and told him that he should hurry because they need to take the horse back before everyone woke up. Aram kicked into the muscles of the horse, to which the horse again raised and breathed out. The horse began to run, and Aram didn't know what to do next. The horse started going towards the road that led to the vineyard of Dikram Halabian. It began to move over vines, and Aram fell down. The horse continued to run, and Morad came running down the road towards him. Morad told him that he is not worried about him, but they need to find the horse. They both went different ways to find the horse. He instructed Aram to be kind if he saw the horse anywhere. Aram looked for the horse down the road, and Morad went towards the irrigation ditch. He came back after 30 minutes with the horse. He told him to jump over as the whole world was awake by then. Aram asked what would they do now, to which Morad told him about two options: take him back or hide him until tomorrow. Morad was not worried, and Aram knew that Morad would hide him somewhere and not take him back for a while. Aram asked him where Morad would hide him. Morad told him about a place he knew which would be perfect as a hidden spot. Aram eagerly asked him when he stole the horse. It appeared to him that Morad had been taking the horse for morning rides for quite some time, and he showed up this morning just to ask Aram to ride along because he knew he was longing to ride one. Morad shuts him down by asking a counter question about who talks about stealing a horse. Aram tried to change the question by asking him since how long was he riding the horse every morning. Morad told him that morning was the first time. Aram was not convinced and asked him if he was telling the truth. Morad said if anyone asked Aram, he should say that it was true. He further added that he didn't want them to be liars, but they had to say only this. Aram agreed, and Morad walked the horse quietly towards the barn of a deserted vineyard. It belonged to a farmer named Fetwagian. The barn had some oats and alfalfa. They started walking home. Morad told Aram that it was not easy to get the horse to behave nicely as it wanted to run wild at first. He told him again that he had a way with the horse and he could get them to do whatever he wants to, as horses understood him. Aram amusingly asked him how he controlled the horse, to which Morad said that he has an understanding with the horse. Aram asked him what sort of understanding did he have with him, to which Morad told him a simple and honest one. Aram confessed he would also like to know how to have an understanding with the horse. Morad assured Aram by saying that he is still a small boy. He will learn when he will be 13. Aram went home and ate breakfast. That day, his uncle Khusro visited his house for coffee and cigarettes. He sat in the parlor and was remembering the old country when a person came to visit him. He was John Bairo, a farmer who learned to speak Armenian because of loneliness. His mother bought Bairo some coffee and tobacco. He sipped and smoked and told them about his missing white horse, which was stolen last month, and he was not able to find it. Khusro roared again and said, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it," and asked John Bairo why he was crying over a lost horse when they had lost their homeland. John Bairo replied to Khusro that he would not bother as he lived in a city, but his country was of no good without his horse. Khusro shouted that he must not pay any attention to it. John Bairo told him that he walked down 10 miles to come here. Khusro shouted that he had legs, to which John said his left leg was hurt. Khusro again tried to shut him down by saying that he should not pay any attention to it. John shared that the horse cost him $60. Khusro said he would spit on the money, after which John got up and went away, slamming the door. Aram's mother told him that John had a gentle heart as he was homesick and he was such a large man. Aram went to Morad and saw him that he was sitting under a peach tree talking to a bird named Robin. He was repairing the wing that was hurt of the bird. Aram told Morad about John Byro's visit and what he talked about his horse. Aram asked Morad not to return the horse until he learns to ride it. Morad told Aram that it will take him a whole year to learn to ride a horse. Aram said they could keep him for a year then. Morad stood up on his feet and shouted at him about encouraging him to be a thief in spite of being a member of the Gerugladian family. He declared that the horse should go to its true owner. Aram asked when would they have to return the horse, to which Morad said in 6 months. He threw the bird into the air and it almost fell twice but flew at last. Once on the way to the deserted vineyard to hide the horse again, they met John Byro, who was on his way to town. Morad insisted on talking to John Byro as he had a way with farmers. Morad wished him good morning and Byro saw the horse carefully. Byro wished them back and asked the name of the horse. Morad said, "My heart," in Armenian language. Byro complimented that it was a lovely name for a lovely horse. He swore that it was his horse that was stolen weeks ago. He asked if he could look into his mouth, and after looking from tooth to tooth, he said it was his horse if he didn't know his parents. He said the horse was a twin of his horse. He further said that his family is all for honesty, but the horse looks just like the one he had lost. A man who is suspicious would easily believe his eyes and not his heart. So he wished them and went away. Morad wished him back. The next morning they took the horse back to John Byro's vineyard and put it in his barn. The dogs followed them around without making any sound. Morad replied they would not bark at them since he had a way with dogs. Morad put his arms around the horse, then pressed his nose into the horse's nose. He patted him and then they went away. That same afternoon, John Byro came to Aram's house in his surrey and showed his mother his horse that had been returned. He said he didn't know what to think as the horse is much stronger now with a better temper. He thanked God. Uncle Khusro, who was in the parlor again, shouted, irritated, "Quiet, man, quiet. Your horse had been returned. Pay no attention to it." With this, we conclude the chapter 1 from Snapshots. The Summer of the White Beautiful Horse by William Saroyan. Let us understand today chapter 2 from Snapshot's book titled as The Address by Marga Minko. The Address by Marga Minko revolves around the theme of crisis that we as an individual encounter in our daily life. Marga Minko also talks about the war that brings destruction, pain, and loss of lives which impact humans in various ways. This is the story about a daughter going in search of her mother's belonging in Holland, and how the story also speaks about the narrator and the relationship between her mother during the war. The story address is all about the address that the author had received from her mother years ago so that she can reclaim her belongings back after the war. The story is divided into two parts, the pre-war and the post-war. The whole plot develops from the address of Mrs. Dorling's house, that is house number 46, Marconi Street. It's quite an inspiring story which sheds an inadequate amount of light on the importance of letting things go. Let us now start the explanation of the chapter. Do you still know me? The narrator asked. The narrator had gone to a house and there she knocked the door. A woman actually, she opened the door and saw from the peephole, and she said that no, I don't know you. So the narrator explains and reveals that she is Mrs. S. daughter.